This is NDTV. And you're watching Ndtv-Hindu.
Chief Minister Karunanidhi takes a dig at Captain Vijay Kant, says half his salary is black money and he cannot talk about corruption. AIADMK skips the meet to choose the Chief Information Commissioner for Tamil Nadu. RTI activists and lawyers show the red card to the top contender for the post. Private schools now take the legal route, move the Madras High Court against the Govindarajan Committee demanding a different fee structure. The Tollywood drug scandal now has a Collywood twist to the tale, with Trisha allegedly being named. She denies her role, calls it a conspiracy. As the nation celebrates Onam, our anchors battle it out at the Onam Sadhya competition.
First person to complete a Sadhya,
Yes.
Onam Sadhya.
Hello and welcome to Headlines Now on Ndtv-Hindu. I'm Ramnath and our focus on the bulletin today, the selection process of the Chief Information Commissioner. Even as the AIADMK skips the meet to choose the Commissioner, there is still no final decision on the post, or so we hear from our sources. And the top contender, the Chief Secretary presently K. Shripati, is being shown the red card by lawyers and activists alike. How bad is the situation when it comes to RTI in our state? That's what we will be asking, but let's also take a look at the stories making national headlines first. Security sources tell NDTV that they need 3 months but have only 2 weeks to secure Commonwealth Games venues. The government goes into political pressure. MPs will get another 10,000 rupees in tax-free allowances. Orissa Chief Minister Naveen Patnaik says the Prime Minister has assured him he'll give a push to the POSCO project, meets Jairam Ramesh on the Vedanta mines issue. And the Yamuna levels continues to rise in Delhi. Over 900 people evacuated and 100 camps set up. Google tries to please both the dragon and the tiger in yet another map controversy. It calls the Chinese bordering Indian states disputed. The Manila hostage drama ends. The gunman is shot dead. 2 hostages also shot. Well, top story on Headlines Now. Chief Minister M. Karunanidhi has lashed out at DMDK President Vijay Kant for the latter's comments on the DMK and the AIADMK being corrupt. In a statement today, the Chief Minister turned the tables on Vijay Kant and called him corrupt instead. In fact, Karunanidhi went on to say that Vijay Kant gets most of his salary as black money. This comes a day after Vijay Kant announced that he would like to lead an alliance and that the people of Tamil Nadu should shun both the DMK and the AIADMK, as both these parties, according to him, are corrupt. For more on that, we're now joined by Panruti Ramachandran, the Presidium Chairman of the DMDK, a man who's often called the right-hand man of DMDK's Vijay Kant. There's strong statements there coming from the Chief Minister himself against your leader. He has actually gone on record and said that Vijay Kant gets half his money as black money. What do you have to say about that?
It is nothing but nonsense. See, it is one thing to accuse a person by tax evasion, and it's quite another thing to indulge in corrupt practices. Mr. Vijayakant's allegation is Mr. Karunanidhi has indulged all along in corrupt practices and amassed disproportionate wealth to his earnings. So, what Mr. Karunanidhi says is that whatever salary Mr. Vijayakant got, a portion of it is turned into a black money. I think Mr. Vijayakant has hard-earned his money and his income, and he has never indulged in any corrupt practice, and he has never held any public office to indulge in corruption also. So this is nothing but utter nonsense on the part of Mr. Karunanidhi, the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu. It only speaks that he has a grudge against DMDK, which is being now emerging as an important force in the political scene of Tamil Nadu.
Such strong statements coming in from the Chief Minister, would you now say that the battle between the DMK and the DMDK is only getting even bitter?
Yes, it is. After all, see, we would like to have a clean and new and modern politics in Tamil Nadu, free from corrupt practices and incompetencies indulged in the present existing DMK regime. And we would like to give a new politics, and it will be clean politics, and we will fight on the platform of eliminating corruption and poverty. Already, Tamil Nadu is being compared to the country in South Africa, the Ghana, in respect of poverty alleviation, and the living conditions are that of an African country, and that is the exact position as far as Tamil Nadu is concerned. So it requires a capable leader to think of the people's welfare and work out measures to alleviate poverty and unemployment that are afflicting in our state.
Right, sir, but your leader Vijay has made a statement yesterday about how there is a alliance possible only if he leads the alliance. Now, you had in fact earlier said on record exclusively to Ndtv-Hindu that there could be an alliance between the AIADMK and the DMDK. Why is that situation changing now? Are you now saying that there is no possibility of a DMK or an AIADMK-led alliance of which the DMDK will also be a part of?
No, we never said that. We never said on our own that we will go to an alliance with ADMK. In fact, our USP is that we are an alternative to both DMK and ADMK. The people of Tamil Nadu have seen these two parties for the last 20 years. And in fact, these people came to office by protest vote and not by popular vote. It is not the case like MGR or late Kamaraj, who have been in office continuously with the support of the people. And these people are not able to continue as chief minister. Everyone will be there for a term and get defeated, and the next term some other person will come and she will get defeated. So it was an alternating thing, and people didn't have any choice to get rid of both. DMDK offers a choice, a third choice for the people of Tamil Nadu to restore democracy and electoral politics in its healthiest form. So naturally, both the parties are trying to undermine DMDK, and in spite of all these efforts, people of Tamil Nadu have supported us, particularly in the last parliament elections. We never had any alliance. We never mentioned any name of the Prime Minister, and we in fact stood on our own. We never bribed the voters, but in spite of that, about 11% of the electorate in Tamil Nadu have voted for DK because they get fed up with both DMK and ADMK.
So in effect, you're saying the only possibility for the DMDK in the state right now is an alliance which the DMDK leads.
Yes, after all, we represent the present generation. The present day youth in Tamil Nadu is our strength and support. And we are a fledgling party. It is only 5 years since DMDK was formed, and we are not hasty. And we will learn to wait in politics until our time comes.
Right, sir. Right, Mr. Panruti Ramchandran. Thanks a lot for joining us live on Headlines Now. That is the first reaction we are getting from the DMDK after that statement made by Chief Minister Karunanidhi saying that Vijay gets half his salary as black money. Our senior political correspondent, Peer Mohammed, now joins us live from the newsroom. Peer, clearly, now that the DMDK is also saying that it will only lead an alliance and the DMK going all out on the war of words with the DMDK, what are the various possible political formations now that we can see ahead of the 2011 polls?
Yes, Ram, this is bargaining period for all the political parties in the state ahead of the 2011 assembly elections. If you look at the Congress, it is trying to get as many seats as possible from the DMK. If you look at the way Congress leaders speak about in the recent times, they want 80 seats from the DMK, so they are saying we are ready to go it alone, and now it is the turn of the DMDK to say the same thing. We will go it alone, and PMK Chief Ramadas is also saying we will go it alone. We will prove that on our own we can win 30, 40 seats very easily. That kind of, this is the time they put up their price, and so that they can get the best in the bargain. Whichever way they go ahead of the elections, they can get the best. And Vijay has started this campaign yesterday at a marriage function he conducted in Mamandur. And I don't see anything beyond that. It is the time they can bargain for the maximum number of seats with whichever big parties they are going with ahead of the elections, Ram.
Right, P. Thanks a lot for joining us with that analysis on the Chief Minister's reaction, Chief Minister's statement, and the DMK's reaction right here on Ndtv-Hindu. Moving on to the other big story tonight, a high-level 3-member panel which consists of the Chief Minister M. Karunanidhi, Law Minister Durai Murugan, and Deputy Leader of the Opposition O. Pannirselvan were to meet today to select the next Chief Information Commissioner for the state. However, the opposition leader O. Pannirselvan has stayed away from the meeting. The meeting had started even and went ahead even as the opposition seemed to have given the meeting a miss. However, officials are being tight-lipped about what happened in the meeting, with no information being let out on what really happened in the meeting and who has been decided as the next Chief Information Commissioner for Tamil Nadu. In fact, the Personal Administration and Reform Secretary Venkatraman refused to tell us who the new CIC was and what happened in the meeting.
I just wanted to know something. I can't say.
Right, we have with us joining live from the Hindu studio our reporter Shabir Ahmed, our political reporter Shabir Ahmed, who has been tracking that story. Shabir, if you can tell us what exactly happened today there. We were expecting that we would know who the CIC would be for the state today, but then clearly the state has decided that they will not come out and give the name. Also, the AIADMK has decided, has apparently decided to stay away from the meeting. So what exactly happened today there?
Well, Ram, exactly at 5 o'clock, Chief Minister was there, but almost all the media channels were there just to catch a glimpse of the opposition party leader or anyone from the opposition entering there. But we came to know that nobody from the opposition is representing, and exactly at 5:30 the meeting began, and it was attended by Chief Minister, Finance Minister of Tamil Nadu Anbalagan, and also Personal and Administrative Reform Secretary Venkatraman. All these three were present there in the meeting, and in fact they have come to a conclusion and they have decided something which is yet to be officially announced. And what we do know now is that when we try to contact the officials, they said that there has been no official communication from the AIADMK. The AIADMK has not objected, or they have skipped the meeting. That is what they have been telling us. But what is the views of the main opposition party is not known, Ram. And on the other hand, what sources have been telling us, there is a strong buzz that Sripati will be the next Chief Information Commissioner for Tamil Nadu, and that is what has been doing rounds for a very long time, and that continues after this meeting as well. And now with the decision, whatever the decision has been taken in the meeting, the high level meeting of which met today, it will be sent to government's approval, then a formal announcement will be made, Ram.
Right, Shabir, I request you to hold on there while we go ahead. I have one more question for you, but before that, I would like to tell our viewers that ironically, the selection process of the CIC, who is responsible for ensuring transparency in government processes itself, is shrouded in secrecy. Now, sources say that the outgoing Chief Secretary K. Sripati, as our reporter Shabir just put it, is the top contender for the job, but not everyone is taking that positively. In fact, RTI activists and lawyers are up in arms as they allege that when it comes to transparency, he has had a bad track record. Although political parties seem to have given him a nod, lawyers and activists allege that K. Sripati has particularly acted against RTI in some instances and is biased.
When the complaint was to be examined by the Director Vigilance and Anti-Corruption, Mr. Sripati influenced him as a Vigilance Commissioner. You know, you postpone this, you don't do this now, it's not very important. So that kind of influence, you know, he had exercised when he was the Vigilance Commissioner. Such a person should be preferred to hold the, you know, very important post of Chief Information Commissioner, you know, is not correct.
The particular person who is Chief Secretary now of Tamil Nadu government is having some drawbacks, and also he has been branded or accused for doing some mistakes in particular RTA activity. He has acted as a government ruling party man from that post, and he has already stopped some of the main informations about some officials, IAS and IPS officials, when these informations been asked by the RTA activists.
Nobody knows why these candidates were chosen, who have applied. Nobody knows that the government was looking for commissioners, that they are going to appoint a new one. And so this absolute lack of transparency is a huge concern.
Right, Shabir, right there you now listen to a few people, RTI activists and lawyers who are raising the concern against K. Sripati being appointed as the Chief Information Commissioner. Now, the fact that the name was withheld today, or media is not being told what happened in that meeting or who is going to be the Chief Information Commissioner, the fact that the name has been withheld doesn't have anything to do with the fact that K. Sripati's appointment is seeing a lot of opposition from various stakeholders.
Yes, definitely, Ram, because K.S. Sripati has a background where there have been too many controversies and in fact several people are up in arms, social activists, RTI activists and others. They know that he has been the Chief Secretary of Tamil Nadu, and he is a person who has to oblige to his political masters. In fact, it's very clear that his post is like that. He has been the Chief Secretary of Tamil Nadu, and whatever he wanted to do, it is not on his own. Either it has been ordered by his superiors or someone like that. So that is the contention, and here in this particular case, why RTI activists are opposing case Sripati is because of the reason that when the RTI activist wanted to know the cases pending against IAS officers and IPS officers in the Department of Vigilance and Anti-Corruption, K.S. Sripati played a major role in trying to avoid disseminating information to the RTI activist. And also when RTI activist wanted to know how the assets of IPS and IAS officer, K.S. Sripati played a major role in avoiding in disclosing the information. So that is the kind of attitude he was having with the RTI activists. That is why RTI activists have been complaining, are up in arms against K.S. Sripati. And here this is a memorandum which has been submitted to the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, where RTI activists claim that the implementation of RTI in the state of Tamil Nadu is very weak, and also the functioning of State Information Commission is well below par. So that is the concern, and they wanted a more efficient activity to be implemented in this particular area, so that people can have their right to know.
Right, Shabi, thanks a lot for joining us with the latest on that story. Now, we have with us in our studio here Nityaran Jairam, a social activist, someone who has been using the RTI weapon a lot when it comes to activism, public activism. Nityaran, it's not just K.S. Sripati. RTI activists in the state have a problem with the way the entire system works, isn't it?
Surely. I mean, I think the primary issue is the fact that there is no process. We don't, or if there is a process, we don't know what it is. If the Right to Information Act is all about transparency, then we have a right to know what the process is, who has applied, who can apply, where is the advertisement, calling for applications for the post of the Chief Information Commissioner. It is very clear in the Act that it is not just former bureaucrats that are required to be commissioners. Media persons can be, lawyers can be, people with science and technology background can be.
And you don't think these things are being followed specifically in Tamil Nadu?
Absolutely not, absolutely not. I mean, despite the fact that on August 5th, there was a meeting in the Indian Institute of Public Administration in Delhi, in which the Department of Personnel and Administrative Reforms Secretary Mr. Venkatraman had participated to draw up guidelines for the transparent selection of commissioners. And that process is not being implemented over here. The problem, of course, is that Mr. Sripati has a questionable track record with respect to transparency. But if Mr. Sripati is what we get at the end of a transparent and open process, then that's a very different thing. But here we have a process that's shrouded in secrecy, resulting possibly in the appointment of a person who is not the best choice for the position of a Chief Information Commissioner.
But what really are your problems when it comes to Mr. Sripati?
Well, I think that other people have already spoken about it, that there have been demonstrable cases on the issue of whether IAS officers, which of the IAS officers have disclosed their assets and which haven't. He refused to divulge the information. It went to the commission ordered that the information must be provided in 15 days, and Mr. Sripati took the case to court to get a stay on that.
Okay, now sources are telling us, like our reporter Shabir Ahmed just joined us and told us, that it is almost certain that K.S. Sripati could be the next CIC in the state. I mean, as activists, what will your reaction to be to that?
Well, my reaction is that when Tamil Nadu is claiming world-class status, there are countries like Indonesia, South Africa, UK that are actually world-class in terms of their demonstration, the commitment towards governance and transparency, and Tamil Nadu lags way behind in transparency and governance. And if you want to be a world-class city, this is where you have to start demonstrating that your city and your state runs on world-class principles of democracy, world-class principles of transparency, and start that with what you do with your commission.
Specifically to the selection process, although, which is the core today, specifically, what changes would you like to see in the way the Chief Information Commissioner is being selected in the state?
For a start, I would like a process. There is no process, so there's no question of change. We're talking about sculpting a new process. The process would have to start with an advertisement, so asking for people of certain backgrounds to come and apply with objective criteria like age and experience, and then a selection committee or a screening committee that screens a bunch of applications and forwards that to the selection committee, and the selection committee goes through these applications in an open manner and chooses the best candidate.
All right, but how would you grade the performance of the RTI Act and its implementation in Tamil Nadu as such?
Very poor. There's hardly been any kind of punitive action by the commissioners on people who repeatedly refuse to give information. The Act is very clear that any refusal of information that is not legitimate will have to be penalized, and there haven't been many penalties. And then repeat offenders in terms of public information officers, there has to be disciplinary action. None of this is being followed. Therefore, the bureaucrats know that they can deny information.
Do you think that has something directly to do with the selection process itself? That the fact that RTI is not being implemented?
Without a doubt. The more bureaucrats and the more government stooges you get as commissioners, the less likely they are to take any action that actually results in implementation of the law. They will take the easy way out.
Okay, and that's what you think is being done right now in Tamil Nadu?
Absolutely. That's what the government wants. Right. And I'm saying that the government needs to want something better, because transparency will help the government eventually.
Right, Nityanand, thanks a lot for joining us, and thanks Shabir also joining us from there. Clearly, as Nityanand here just puts it, it's also a lot to do with the very implementation of the RTI, that the selection process of the Chief Information Commissioner is done in a proper manner. Of course, we do not know who that CIC is going to be. Hopefully, in a couple of days, we will know. Well, it's time to take a short break on Headlines Now, but up ahead on the other side, all the national news, and it's the battle of appetites this Onam on NDTV Hindu. More on the other side.